came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, but I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucks winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Aaron Rodgers and his people were like, they listened to our episode and they said, hold our cheesehead or coat.
Donovan Mitchell, who right now looks to be a superstar.
Just amazing. And I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Yeah, that's not just the Chiefs. That's Andy Reid. He knows the defenses so well because he's such a great offensive mind.
Well, you said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life.
It just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up. And when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets. Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's 2 of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year, and they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to The Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week for December 26th. Our last NFL Opinions of the Week for this year. And let us know what you thought about it for this year. Austin, before we get into playoff talk, let's talk about the Jaguars. So this is day 1 of the interview request window. And the Jaguars have an intriguing approach. They've asked to interview both Bucks coordinators Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, and then both Cowboys coordinators Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. Then the other people on their list are Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, then Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus, and then former coaches Doug Peterson and Jim Caldwell. I say it's intriguing because usually you see teams look one way, like let's say they interview mostly offensive coordinators because they're looking for an offensive-minded head coach. But with the Jaguars, it's pretty split down the middle because they've asked to interview 3 defense coordinators and then 3 offensive coordinators and then 2 former coaches. And I don't know who would be the leading candidate because I don't think I don't think Todd Bowles leaves for the Jaguars. And I don't think the Cowboys let Kellen Moore go. And then Dan Quinn released a statement how he's not focusing on head coaching jobs, but that could just be a smokescreen. But what are your thoughts? I think maybe Leftwich because like he played for the Jaguars, but I also kind of like the idea of Doug Peterson being the coach of the Jaguars.
I don't really know. It's definitely a chaotic spot to be in. There's a lot to do to fix the organization, so it's going to be somebody who is going to have to be committed to the long run, and that's not always what every coach wants to do.
Yeah, it's true. And do you see the Jaguars as one of the top locations for a head coaching candidate? Like I'm sure Dan Quinn is going to get a lot of offers. Same with Kellen Moore, and same with Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich. Do you see it as a desirable place? I don't really see it like that, just because of like the Urban Meyer mess.
I don't think that hinders the spot at all, uh, because you can create your own environment when you get there and set a precedent for everyone who comes into the organization. But I do believe that their past years of failure definitely do hinder it because they really haven't shown many bright spots throughout these last two coaching tenures.
Yeah, and one thing contrary to my point is you do have your quarterback one, and then you have this year's number one overall pick right now if the season were to end today. So that leads into like you were saying, bring in your own guys. You can get the number one player in the draft if you want. So those are the only like interview requests. We've not seen anyone else fired. Matt Nagy is it was reported that Matt Nagy believes that he'll be able to coach the final two games for the Bears and see if we'll see what his situation is like, but no one has been fired yet as we are recording. So let's go into playoffs. Specifically, let's start with the NFC because that's pretty much set at the top as the only division that does not have a that has not been clinched yet is the NFC West. Cowboys clinched the NFC East, and then Packers clinched the NFC North last week or 2 weeks ago, and then the Bucks clinched the NFC South. And then you do have some interesting. The 17 is wide open. We were talking about it off air. Austin, I'll let you go into the craziness with the 7th seed.
Yeah, my mom's calling me. Just you're gonna have to. Yeah, so the 7th seed is a very chaotic place. A lot can happen. So a lot of teams could be uh, screwed if another team wins, and it's going to be really close depending on whether or not some teams come to play or not. An advantage is going to be given to Washington first. If every team, if 5 teams, the Vikings, Saints, Falcons, Eagles, and Washington football team all finish 8-9, the biggest advantage is given to Washington. They would be the 7th seed. However, next would be the Vikings would be next in line if Washington were to lose against anyone besides the Eagles. So they would lose week 18 against the Giants. That would have the Vikings up next. If the Eagles win either of the last 2 games, they basically clinch because no, they just I think they just clinch because they have a tiebreaker over uh, the Saints, I believe. Let me just make sure right quick. Yeah, they have the tiebreaker over the Saints. So if the Eagles can just win one of their last 2 games, which will be a tough thing to do considering they're playing a desperate Washington team who knows they have the advantage, and then they play the Cowboys who are trying to get the 1 seed in the NFC. So a lot of chaos can happen. The worst team off is the Falcons. The Falcons only get in if they finish 9-8 and the Eagles lose their last 2 games. The Eagles lose their last 2 games, and the Falcons go 9-8, which means they beat the Bills and the Saints, two tough opponents. It's the only way the Falcons can get in. The Saints can get in also if the Eagles, 49ers, and Saints all tie at 9-8. The Saints have a tiebreaker and would get in the 7th seed, while the Eagles will get the 6th seed. So the Niners can take care of their own business by winning, but if they fail to, a lot more chaos can happen. But the Niners should be able to beat this week's opponent, which is the Texans. And so I basically am not even looking at if they lose, but if they do lose, and the same thing, let me just make sure I have this all right. And the exact same thing happens, the 2 teams that will get in are the Falcons and Washington. But that only happens if the 49ers lose to the Texans this week. And the Texans we've seen have beaten the Chargers last week and have played in some tough games. But the Falcons' saving grace is them going. If they go, that's with them going 9-8 too. Well, let me fix that right quick. Let me do this. Oh yeah, they go to the very bottom. The 2 teams that get in are the Washington football team and the Niners. The Niners, I think, I don't. The only scenario where the Niners haven't clinched is the Falcons or Saints win both of their games. In which case, the Washington football team would get in if the 49ers lose both of their games. And then the either Saints or Falcons based on who won their other games. And if the Eagles were to beat the Cowboys, that would throw a wrinkle into all of it. But yeah, that's just to say the NFC at the bottom is very chaotic, while the top is pretty secure, and not many teams are going to be moving up and down with unless a lot of craziness happens at in the top five.
Yeah, and then speaking on the Niners, Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a chip bone and torn ligament in his right thumb, so his status is in doubt for the weekend. But he's being reevaluated on Wednesday, so December 29th. So it should be interesting, and then we might get to see the number third overall pick, Trey Lance, and Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't he's done well for the 49ers, but it'll be interesting to see what Trey Lance does when he fills in full time for Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's something to keep an eye on. But I do agree the top is pretty set in the NFC. It'd be nice if the Cowboys could get the number one, but that's probably not going to happen unless craziness happens. And then if the Buccaneers and Cowboys tie, the Bucks get the tiebreaker because the Cowboys lost in Week 1. What do you have to say?
The Chargers have to win out. The Chargers, Raiders are both teams that have to win out to make it. Same with the Steelers, but the Steelers have the advantage over both of those teams because if both teams go 1-1, because the Chargers play the Raiders at the end. So I think if the Raiders even go 2-0, let's see, what do I have?
Yeah, and
No, I
then
have the Raiders losing to the Colts. Yeah, I have the Raiders losing to the Colts. And if that happens, they're out, basically. And if the Chargers lose to the Broncos this week, they're basically out as well, as long as the Steelers can beat the Browns, who have struggled a lot recently. And then they could beat the Ravens, who not only are the divisional rival, but are a team that is just ravaged by injuries. But if the Steelers were to lose one game as well, the Raiders would get in if they beat the Chargers. The Chargers would get in if they beat the Raiders. There's a lot of tiebreakers there as well. The Broncos are another team that could get in if they go out on a limb and beat the Chiefs, while the Dolphins lose. Uh,
you're just talking about the wild card teams for AFC, right? Or is this
yeah.
specifically
Right,
for
right
one?
now
Yeah,
I
okay,
am. Yeah.
gotcha.
If the Dolphins lose both of their last two games, that's how the Broncos would get in. They win their last two, but the Dolphins win one and the Broncos win their last two. The Dolphins would have the tiebreaker over uh, the Chargers, who would be 9-8, and the Broncos, who would be 9-8. And the Ravens, who'd be 9-8. But if the Raiders were to win and go 9-8 as well, nothing would change. So we would have Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. I'm going from bottom to top. So 11 would be Raiders at 9-8. 10 would be Chargers at 9-8. Then Broncos at 9-8. And then Ravens at 9-8. And the advantage would go to the Dolphins. So all the Dolphins have to do, if craziness ensues, is just win one game. I honestly anticipate something like this happening, and it would really set a lot of things back. But that's only if the Broncos were to beat the Chiefs the last game of the season. If that doesn't happen, then 17 would go to the Chargers. So there's a lot of different scenarios right now to think about in regards to teams who have a chance of making it, and teams like the Texans and let me just look. Yeah, teams like the Texans could play spoiler and kind of destroy a lot of what is going on. The Jaguars could beat the Patriots, which would be crazy. And let me see another one. The Panthers could beat the Saints and throw a dent into everything. The Giants could beat the Washington football team in the last week of the season. There's a lot of teams that could play spoiler and kind of mess up what I just talked about because I just assume those as being wins no matter what.
Yeah, in comparison to the NFC, like you just talked about, like the craziness that probably will happen in the AFC. So, like going fully over to the AFC, the number one seed is the Chiefs, and the Broncos could beat them because the Chiefs may just sit out. If because they, I think, have a chance to um, get the number one seed fully, unless the Titans go on a roll and the Chiefs lose. But that'll be like the seeding isn't really set compared to the NFC. And I don't, while seeding, I think plays a bigger role in the NFC because of Lambeau Field, because the Packers will get a home field advantage. I don't see it being a huge advantage in the AFC because there's no dominant team at home. Some teams have just lost because they just haven't played well. So, do you agree with what I said, or do you think it does play a big role in the AFC?
It's gonna be tough. The AFC's a confusing mess of teams that I don't really know what to think about the AFC right now. I don't even know if the AFC still has a contender, even with the Chiefs playing as well as they are, because they're playing against other AFC teams that are proven to be struggle fest right now. Uh, I don't really know what to think about the AFC because they are just the entire season. It's been, well, this team's out. Oh no, they're not. They're going to win a couple games and they're going to lose to like the Chargers. They were on a hot streak and then lost a lot and then they lost to the Texans last week and then you really don't know what to think about. Even if they make the playoffs, how far can they really go? There's
I
teams like the
think
Raiders. Oh, what were we gonna say?
I think I'm going to disagree with you on. I think the Chiefs look like contenders to me,
But
even
they've only
though.
faced against opponents, like I said, in the AFC that have proven to be proven to struggle. I mean, the Steelers have not been consistent all year, and other teams that they faced on this hot streak have proven to struggle all season.
Well, I don't think if we want some teams like if we want to talk about like the Bucks lost to a Washington football team. So I think it's what I've seen from the Chiefs, what their offense was able to do. I know the Steelers did not play well, but what has that offense has now scored, I think, in the past 4 games, 34 points. Um, and then their defense has looked very good. So I think that's what makes them look like a contender and their past experience. So I think given how they found their offense back, like they've gotten back out of that slump, and then how their defense has really gotten better, that's what makes them a contender. Even and they have some impressive wins, even though it's not against great opponents. It's still they dominated and they looked good. Like they didn't just dominate off of teams' mistakes, because you could argue the Packers. I think their best win would probably be the Cardinals, right?
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
But
we barely lost to the Chiefs with Jordan Love starting and half of our good players out, and the Chiefs barely beat us. That's not domination. That's the Chiefs barely
well,
winning a
no,
game.
but I'm talking about like the past few weeks because the
Would you include the Cowboys in that game when they had a lot of guys
no,
out too?
I'm thinking when was the first game at the Chiefs schedule, because I think it's right after that.
It'd be the Broncos, which they won 22-9, and then they destroyed the Raiders, who have been weird all year, and then they beat the Chargers in overtime, who just lost to the Texans.
Where they got 34 points there, 36,
But like I
48
said,
from the Texans.
the Texans lost to the I mean the Chargers lost to the Texans. It's not like they're
Yes,
facing
but
the greatest of
still,
opponents.
I think you can argue that with like the whole any team, because there's been some great wins and then there's some lousy losses. I think with any team. Like Cowboys, great one against Washington, great one against the Vikings, and they got destroyed by the Broncos. Same with the Cardinals. Have the Cardinals beaten? They haven't beaten a team of. Well, they destroyed the Rams really early on in the season, but then they lost to the. They got destroyed by the Lions.
I don't know. The Chiefs just don't impress me right now. I just don't see a oh that's the win that I needed to see. I don't see that statement victory. Every team at the top has a statement victory right now. And I just don't see it right now for the Chiefs. The two teams that they've beaten at the top, the Packers and the Cowboys, both were ravaged by COVID. The Packers more so because Jordan Love was out. They didn't even have a
Well,
starting quarterback.
Cowboys didn't have Amari Cooper, and I think Amari Cooper really can unlock a lot of.
Well,
It
Jordan
gives more opportunities for a CD Lamb and Gallup, and then CD Lamb got hurt.
Jordan Love didn't have Robert Tanyan because he was out with the injury, David Bakhtiari, Jair Alexander, Darius Smith, and more guys who were all Pro Bowlers last season. I feel like the Packers were more ravaged by injuries, but I mean it's close as you mentioned. But There's just no statement win for the Chiefs, and I don't know if they're going to have one unless they can destroy the Bengals. But the Bengals are another team that just, oh, they're good, now they're bad. Oh, they're good, now they're bad. Oh, they're good, and now they're bad. They lost to the Jets. I mean, this is a team that I just can't see consistency from. And I think that's the issue with the AFCs. I don't know if the Chiefs are contenders because every team that they've faced has not proven to be a quality opponent. I just don't see. I feel like the Colts would be a quality opponent right now. The Colts are a team that is hot, but the Chiefs just don't play the Colts. The one time that the Titans played the Chiefs, the Titans destroyed them 27-3. So that was another chance to get a guy at the top of the game right now. The Bills beat the Chiefs, another one of the top opponents in the AFC.
But the
And I
Bills
know they were
also lost
struggling
to
during
the
this
Jags.
time. What?
Bills also lost to the Jags.
Okay, well that again, the Chiefs lost to the team that lost to the Jags. That's it.
I don't. For me, it's seeing how things are flowing in the game. To me, the Chiefs look crisp. When I saw them against the Steelers and in the past, their defense has just done well. Um, and even with their opponent, I think it's we've seen it this year how a team can go off a high and then just not play well. But the Chiefs have started to heat up, and this is the right time when teams should heat up. And then I think that gives them propels them into the playoffs, and they can keep going. And
I
they
wouldn't be
do
surprised
have
if
the
they win
head
the
coach.
AFC. But even if they win the AFC, I don't know if I can see them as contenders. Just because the AFC is just I don't see the AFC as a powerhouse right now. Anyone. I feel like the Titans, once they get Derrick Henry, could be enticing. I think the Colts right now are enticing with Jonathan Taylor and everything they're doing with Carson Wentz right now, and their defense, even without COVID, still held the Cardinals to not that many points, even though the Cardinals didn't have D Hop. But I think the winner this season is going to be out of the NFC, and I don't know
I
who it's going
agree
to
with you
be.
there.
I
I
don't.
just think the AFC. I think the Chiefs to me look like a contender, even though they probably won't win, but there could
What's your
be a spread.
definition of contender?
Contender is they can make the Super Bowl
Well,
and
then any
have a
team in the
legitimate
AFC is a
chance to
contender
win
for
the
me.
Super Bowl. They have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. And I think,
Well, I mean, anything can happen in one game, and I think the AFC is weak enough to where any team could make the Super Bowl, and therefore, using that definition, everyone's a contender because everyone can make
but
the.
I do think they can make it to the Super Bowl and they can also put up a good fight in the Super Bowl. And I do believe that about the Chiefs.
Well, last year, a lot of people were saying that the Chiefs were going to blow out the Bucks when they looked insane, and then were terrible. But and I don't know if the Chiefs had really addressed that problem against premier pass rushes. Like the Packers, who had a great pass rush last year, were without Zadarius Smith, and that's a big part of our pass rush is Zadarius Smith. The the uh the Cowboys wasn't Randy Gregory out for that game and DeMarcus Lawrence or just DeMarcus Lawrence? I know DeMarcus
No,
Lawrence was
just
out.
Gregory. Lawrence was back.
Oh,
That was
Lawrence was
his first
back.
game back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Well, I
pretty sure
mean,
that was his first game back.
okay. Well, I mean, first game back. You're not gonna play your absolute best in your first game back normally. And then they haven't played the Bucks, who obviously have a very scary pass rush. And so I don't know. I see your point. I understand, but I just don't see the Chiefs. My definition of contender is I think have a good chance to win the Super Bowl. That's my contender because I believe every team has a chance.
Well,
I say
yeah,
good chance, and
I
I
said
don't really
legitimate,
see the
so I
Chiefs as
agree with
having
you
a
there.
say again.
We have the same definition. We just different. We have different views of the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs have a good shot of winning the Super Bowl.
I disagree. I think the Packers, Rams, Bucks, and Cowboys in no order are winning the Super Bowl.
Okay, I disagree with you there too. I just think it's Bucks and Packers. I have to see more from the Cowboys to get me to fully believe. I think my belief in the Cowboys is more hopeful fan optimism in the Cowboys than
So you don't consider the Cowboys contenders, but you consider the Chiefs contenders?
I consider Chiefs contenders because look at the Cowboys. Like the Cowboys don't in the last 25 years have no track record with making it to the Super Bowl. The
I
Chiefs
does
do.
the Chiefs, but the one Chiefs victory in the Super Bowl, uh, Patrick Mahomes was not great for 3 quarters, and then Jimmy Garoppolo threw the game away when missing Emmanuel Sanders and
but they
probably should
still
have
won.
lost that game. Yeah, they
They
did
still
still
won.
win. They
And
still
and Andy Reid has been to more Super Bowls than the Cowboys have. So I believe Andy Reid's experience there also the track record with the Chiefs lines up and gives me but I believe in them given their track record and the Cowboys I just don't have that record. While McCarthy has it, he just hasn't done it with this organization. So I need to see more from the Cowboys. And then Rams I need to see more from that offense. To me, they seem too finicky.
let me ask you a
They
question
okay.
to kind of answer this question. The reason why I don't consider the Chiefs contenders is because I look at past experience, but I use it very very minimally. Why are the Patriots not contenders? Bill Belichick has gone to so many Super Bowls, has won so many Super Bowls. Why are they not contenders? I'm just
I'm
asking.
rookie QB Mac Jones.
Despite the fact that they have one of the best defenses in the league that is hot, and
Yes,
also have a quality running back in Damian Harris, and have a very good O line.
I'm going to say with Mac Jones, the rookie quarterback. I think that's going to play a big part into the playoffs, even with Belichick being one of the greatest coaches. Well, yeah, you could argue best
The
coach.
the best
Yeah,
coach in
you
the
could
league.
argue.
I don't think it's arguable.
Given
It couldn't be. Who would be
his
above him? He's won
shadiness, you could argue
the
that
what?
he's not.
Cheatiness?
Well, yeah, the shadiness around some of the wins. You have Deflategate, you
The
have
Flakegate
Spygate.
isn't real. The Flakegate never happened. They did a whole scientific theory on it. It couldn't have happened because that's what happens when the balls get cold.
I don't know. And
There's some
okay,
physics
that
about it.
eliminates one, and then let's do Spygate.
The Spygate that game happened against the Jets when they were bad. If you're gonna blame that,
No, I thought there were rumors of them recording the St. Louis. Yeah, it was the St. Louis Rams. That's pretty sure where I think Spygate, and then they also did it again against the Bengals. I
Jets.
thought it was.
No, I think they did it against the Jets too. They may have done it against the Bengals. I know they did something against the Jets. And everyone was like, "Why did you do it against the Jets?"
Okay, so it does say the Jets.
Yeah, I know. I know the Jets story. I've heard it so many times.
Pretty sure there's something. But I think you could use that to argue that Belichick was not. But in my opinion, he is the best coach. But
Who would you
I
argue above him? Because you say it's arguable. I don't know who I'd put above him. Andy Reid, he's beaten in the Super Bowl.
right now, or are we just saying in the
Right,
history?
yeah, right now.
Right now, well, I maybe you could argue Andy Reid, but I was thinking in the history. I think you could argue Lombardi, Walsh. You could argue Landry. So, and then John Madden.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think with the Patriots, to me, they're more a dark horse than a candidate or a contender. Because I don't know, even if they got there, I don't think I can see them. I don't think I just don't think they could win it, even if they got there. So
You don't think the Titans are contenders with Derrick Henry? They had
with
the number one
Derrick
seed.
Henry,
Because I told you he'd be back by week 18
well,
off
yeah,
there.
then he might be. But my only three contenders in the NFL would be Bucks, Chiefs, and then I'll put in Packers.
You'll put in Packers?
Well, if I'm gonna, Rodgers has a Super Bowl, but they haven't been able to advance past the NFC Championship.
Well,
But
in
if they
that
did,
case, then here's my argument against what your definition of that is. No team would ever make it. No contender would ever make it because unless you had made a prior Super Bowl recently, you're not a contender ever. You can have an undefeated record, but you can't be a contender because you have no past experience.
well, I said Cowboys weren't a contender because I just have to see more from them.
But you said for the Packers that you were struggling to put them up there
Well,
because they
based with
haven't
my
made it.
definition. Based with my definition.
Yeah, that's my point. Is that a team could be 17-0 now and not be a contender because they have the Jaguars 17-0 next year. They're not contenders because they have no shown no proof that they could make it to a Super Bowl, even though they're 17-0 and won every game.
I would probably I would have to see it. So it's with that definition and then seeing the team. Because I think past experience Tom Brady, that makes him a contender with the Bucks. And his experience in the playoffs makes him a contender.
I think past experience is overrated in my mind because again, the Packers have the best record in the NFL, have good wins, and they're barely in it. No, they're definitely a strong contender. I
Then
don't know if they're
what
number.
makes the Bucks a contender?
Well, they beat the Cowboys in Week 1. They are consistently proving, when fully healthy, to have the best offense in the NFL in my mind. Their defense, again, when healthy, have a great pass rush, and they're getting guys back from corners that have been out for the majority of the season. So when fully healthy, I think they're the best team in the NFL. But that doesn't mean again they have quality wins. I don't see where the Chiefs' quality win is. I just don't. I'm looking, but I don't see it.
I don't I probably wouldn't see a quality win with the Chiefs, but I just consider them a contender because of Mahomes, because of Reed, and what I've seen from that defense leading up to the playoffs.
What premier offense have they faced again for their defense to show themselves? They played against the Steelers last week. They struggled against the Chargers, who lost to the Texans. I mean, I don't see the premier offensive foe they're facing.
I don't. To me, they've limited the opportunities from the offense. Even with the offense, I just still see their defense doing well, and I don't have to see them stop an offensive juggernaut to give me that confidence in their
The
defense.
Packers or Bucks would put up 35 points against the Chiefs, guaranteed. I
I
guarantee it.
don't know about the Packers offense because the Packers offense struggled against the Browns, and the Packers got some great Christmas gifts from Baker Mayfield.
They won the game.
Yes, but
It's
we're
the same
talking
Chiefs
about
argument when I was talking about the 49ers. I mean, the
yes,
Chiefs won the
but
game. The
you're
Packers won the game.
arguing yes, they did win the game,
I'm going to
but
say it right now.
does
The
that give
Browns
me
have a better defense.
confidence?
The Browns have a better defense than the Chiefs.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, my point remains. The Packers or
But
Bucks would put up 35 points against the Chiefs.
if you take away those three interceptions, which
4.
directly led to 3 touchdowns, the Packers only got a field goal against that Browns defense.
Mahomes has thrown a lot of picks this year, and Rachel
Yes,
Douglas has gotten a lot of picks. So I would be confident we would get picks too.
you would be confident in Rasul Douglas against. Oh, and the Chiefs. If we want to talk about their offense, and while their defense, the defense has given me more confidence with how their offense is playing as well. And their offense just destroyed the Steelers without Travis Kelce.
Well,
Which
TJ
is
Watt, their best player, was out in and out of the entire game.
still,
It was definitely not 100%.
we saw that offense struggle with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Seeing that from the Chiefs offense gave me more confidence in the Chiefs.
I got confidence in the Bucks and Packers defense when fully healthy. I need Darius Smith back. I need Jair Alexander back. If we have both of those guys, I'm confident that good things would happen and then for the Bucks. They got to get guys back too. Levante David's apparently going to be back for the playoffs too, so they need to get him back as well.
Yeah, but those are my 3 contenders. I keep the Cowboys and Rams out of it.
I'm going to stick with mine in no
Okay.
order. Just saying it in the order of the standings right now: Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know. The Rams just sticks out to me. What is your reasoning for the Rams?
I think with Cooper Kupp, if he can play 100%, he could open OBJ, he could open Van Jefferson, he could open Robert Woods, and
Robert Woods going to be back? Because I know he tore his ACL, so I didn't think he'd be back.
I heard that he may be back for playoffs. I'll check right now.
I know Akers is back.
Yeah, Akers, who tore his
Achilles,
Yeah, he tore his Achilles and he's going to be back in like 6 months, which is insane.
Yeah, there have been some interesting things, like with the Clemson third string quarterback or second string quarterback who tore his Achilles 3 months. He was back in 3 months, or he was able to play in 3 months.
Yeah, every player is different. He doesn't say whether or not he's going to be back. I can't
Okay.
find it anywhere. But
Cooper Cup, I don't see a slot corner with the teams I'm thinking about. Like, I don't see a slot corner on the Bucks that could stop him. I don't see it because Alexander is an outside. I haven't seen Alexander play the
yeah,
slot.
Alexander guards D Hop. He guards guys on the outside. He would guard OBJ most
Yeah,
likely.
so and then Cowboys don't have a slot corner. Um, and then Chiefs don't have a slot corner. I don't see Cooper Cup and then Gronk and then Adams. Well, you could pair, but Adams would still win. Those are some offensive weapons that I do not see anyone covering or how teams would stop them.
Well, because this hasn't been proved. I would put Kelsey or Hill in there, but this season has proven that they can be guarded. And if teams implement the right system, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs struggle to put up points. I would love to see the Titans versus Chiefs again in the AFC Championship or something like that, and I would pick the Titans to win that game. I think the Titans are the better team when they can take the time of possession away by having Derrick Henry, and I don't believe the Chiefs have a good enough defense to stop Derrick Henry.
That'd be interesting. I think I might go Chiefs with that one. I don't know. I think I might go Chiefs with that.
It would
So
be very close. I
it,
could
it,
I
it'd
could
be a
agree with
great
that.
game to watch.
Yeah,
And I think the I think both championship games have the potential to be very close this year.
I think the AFC playoffs are going to be something to behold because I believe that they're all so close to each other that all the games should be relatively close.
Yeah. So, and you could definitely see a lot of upsets. So,
True.
longer episode talking about playoffs. So, let us know what you thought. Let us know what you think a contender is. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.